Good morning, good morning. Well, it's morning for me. It might have been morning when you're watching this. Um, Welcome back to Cris Rants, or welcome to Cris Rants. Today is more of a reflective rant. I procrastinated yesterday. I started off yesterday, you know what? I need to get this off my chest, right? And as the day progressed, I realized how ridiculous I sounded. But I'm still going to go through the process because thinking about it versus verbalizing it, speaking it out, it plays different parts for me. So here we go. I am super petty, and I don't always get to identify situations where I'm being petty. But the other day, definitely, it just doesn't make sense for me to do the things that I do. So, have you ever been in a situation where it was time for you to make a decision, right? And you are like, hey, this is what I think will be best, right? Whether it's I'm going to cancel my phone service with this person, with this carrier, and I'm going to transition to this one because, their packages are better, or, their pricing is different, right? You've already put in your head that maybe this is the kind of decision that you make, or this is the kind of decision you have. So, excuse me, taking into consideration all the things that I have on my plate, I was trying to find a way to make things a little more simplify things, especially with the kids starting starting their summer break in a few weeks, right? So I wanted to kind of consolidate the things I have to do in my day-to-day. So because it's kind of going back into somewhat of a pandemic mode for me, because instead of dropping them off from school and taking care of my various appointments, we will be together all day. And I've looked for summer programs and opportunities, but there's some limitations that my children have, and a lot of those programs that are affordable don't cater to the limitations that they have, or the obstacles that we might be faced with in order to take advantage of those opportunities. So I'm literally going to have to just be spontaneous about one-day events and things that just hop out of the blue, just taking advantage of those, because a pre-planned day camp or for the week is not in the cards for us right now. So with that being said, a lot of the stuff that I get done more quickly and I'm more efficient in executing will not be an option anymore, because it'll be me and the babies all day again, which I absolutely love, but I'm not the kind of parent who's going to drag them everywhere, because a part of trying to curb behavior challenges that they might have, because they might be acted out because I'm taking them a whole bunch of different places, is really easy to weed out for me. It's easier for me as a single parent to eliminate some things from my day, because it's just too much for them. And it's not fair to not consider them, especially if it's not a high priority, right? So there's some things you just can't get around, and those things I don't mind, but stuff that just becomes excessive and just drowns out the day is just not. So I've been in the process of trying to figure out, how do I make this stuff more feasible, and how do I save money in the process. So there's a agreement that I have with another company, and that agreement was, go ahead, sweetheart. That agreement was, it's very flexible, right? I'm letting the company kind of, they're going through changes, and the goal was not for them to accommodate me and the things that I was doing. The goal was for, as long as there's room for me to kind of use their resources, I will. And if the direction of the company leads them elsewhere, for them not to feel obligated. In the same way that if the needs of what I'm doing and the resources that I share with them it no longer becomes a necessity, then I can transition as well. So this partnership I was going to propose another shift. The reason why I say I was petty is, although I had already considered it in my mind, procrastination set in, and I was like, no, let me wait another week or so, right? Let me wait till literally the cusp of the kids' summer vacation beginning, and see what these other appointments look like, and other ways that how the change in my schedule and me simplifying and weeding and transitioning and these different aspects of my day and my life, how those things start to unfold and manifest before I decide to change this agreement with this company. And literally, like maybe the next day, I get correspondence suggesting the same thing that I was thinking. I'm petty because I was still mad about it. I'm petty because I'm still mad, and I still haven't come to the conclusion if I'm mad because they did it, I came up with it, but they're the ones who proposed it first. I don't know. It's so childish. It's so petty. And I literally had an attitude, not with the company per se, but there was a little stank on my a little twang, a little stank. That kind of followed me for the day. And in my head, I was like, this is so ridiculous because you were thinking the same thing. I had to laugh at myself because it made me think of White Chicks, when it was like, oh my God. She was like, you were thinking it, but you said it. Get it? So I felt so ridiculous, and I wrestled with it. And ultimately I came to the conclusion that with all the things that I struggle with, and I know everything's not going to be like solved overnight, and things were, certain habits were developed over time, and it's going to take some time to kind of break out of it. But my resolve ended up being, with all the things that I challenge with, I have a Heavenly Father who acknowledges my struggles, and I really just took it as grace. Transitions and change are hard, and when people, address me in different ways, let alone a company, you do feel some type of way. But ultimately, it was something that I needed to do that I didn't have the wherewithal to execute sooner than later. And the timing couldn't have been more perfect, because the following day I had enough openings between my appointments to kind of facilitate that transition, right? And literally financially, our agreement changed, which meant that I would see an immediate change in the financial aspect of of that partnership, right? And so, yeah, hella petty, but I thank God for having my back, because I didn't have enough whatever to think it and execute it. Some things it's not even a problem, and other things I seriously struggle with. So I'm grateful, because now, instead of originally had it been up to just me, right, and just being a lingering thought in my head, I would have been overthinking. I would have been trying to carry on business in the current and according to the current plan, right, while trying to prepare and compare what it would look like if I had done, if I do execute the new thing. So having to play out two what ifs simultaneously, with only one thing actually being the reality, that's unnecessary stress on myself, right? But literally, there's still a little stank on my attitude because of this, and the only thing it boils down to is me being petty, like hella petty. Like, I don't even get why I'm still so about it. But it's like petty, pride, immaturity, like whatever it is. I would love to just put my thumb on it and be like, oh, okay, let's cut that out. Because even though I'm going throughout my day and I have some relief because of the new agreement, transition is still uncomfortable. And a part of my personality, or a habit that I've developed, is I always blame myself for stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with me. And I think that's another piece of why this stuff was so hard for me to deal with, right? Because even though I was thinking of this situation, because this possibility, and I was entertaining this thought because of my, because I'm trying to prepare for some transitions in my life. I don't know why the company wanted to do this transition or whatever, right? So that definitely, in my head, is like, oh, what did I do to encourage this type of transition? Even though, as far as that business transaction or relationship, there's nothing that's happened. In my head, that's what I feel. And in all honesty, I think that's what bothers me more, is I don't think initially I thought it was, hey, they beat me to it. But I think what makes it sting so much and hard for me to kind of let go is the fact that I feel like I did something that encouraged this transition. Any other transition we've had in this partnership, specifically with this company, it was always enough open dialogue for it to be like, hey, this is the next move in the transition for the company, X, Y, and Z. And so this is what we're going to do. But we still want, but we still have kept in mind this partnership. And so we're thinking, even though this thing has changed X, Y, and Z, this doesn't change, right? And so I think in the absence of that kind of conversation, it leaves a lot of what ifs. And I think that those what ifs and that uncertainty, and my natural tendency to blame myself for stuff outside of my control, has really made this situation more of a thorn in my side than anything else. And so, with that revelation, I definitely am trying to take it in stride, because I can't control everything. And even if I did do something, I have to remind myself that I conduct business and I go about my life in a way that I'm comfortable with and that works for me. And if it doesn't work for somebody else, I didn't intentionally offend them. I didn't intentionally do X, Y, and Z or whatever. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But in any case, yeah, that was really a thing for me yesterday. Was when I started off the day, it was on the cusp of that kind of information being shared. And after I had did some things to kind of facilitate that that transition with that company, I had ran into some other business friends of mine, and in an effort to kind of find clarity, I was just kind of talking about next steps for me, and a lot of them had a lot of compassion from me, which kind of helped to smooth things over, because they affirmed me, and they had some really nice things to say about me in the way that I do business that kind of helped me feel a little bit better. But here's the thing: outside compliments, outside affirmations do not substitute for information that comes directly from the source. So it helped to know where I stand with these other business relationships, but still not with this one. And so as I progressed throughout the day, and I saw how much of a benefit this would be, right, with all my other appointments pending and things of that matter, and how well time I had allotted for time to go do some transitions at the location where that company resides, to do my part to facilitate the transition. And I had allotted so much time, so I was like, oh, let me do this, and then let me go back to the house and do this, and let me do this and do this, and then go back to church. I felt like I was, I had like a coffee break with a couple of these other my business associates, right? And it was so crazy because I'm like, oh my God, I'm behind, right? I've used up all this time that I had not originally intended on, and now, now my schedule's thrown off, right? And I became to get frustrated because it's like, well, if the transition had never been, initiated, right? And then when I looked at my clock, I still had all the time in the world to do everything I needed to do. So just petty and prideful and rigid and unwilling to be flexible, even when it's to my benefit, and just having to be confronted with that, right? Even after taking care of everything I needed to, I still had time to unwind, have me a little treat that just for me. I didn't have to share with the kids, and and it's like, you've been so stanky all doggone day for something that's for you, like. And even at the end of the day, when it was like, when I finally had got baby boy to go to sleep and had made some more adjustments, like, okay, rewind. I have been so exhausted in my daily appointments for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, or what have you. And even after having to facilitate, initiate the new transitions with the company, and multitasking and adding new things to my day, and having those little miniature coffee breaks with those folks, even still, when I got home, I had so much energy to do some extra stuff. Got that done. Was able to have some bonding time with my little man and do some things. He had a great day at school, so we celebrated that because it was an amazing day. Got him off to bed with without having to pull teeth. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna have a vent session, and we're gonna talk about how ridiculous this pride of mine is and how petty I am. And I promise you, headache came out of nowhere. I was so irritated. But my headaches can sometimes feel like headaches initially and then transition into migraines. And because sometimes my rants can get up to 30 minutes, I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on myself. So I shut down for the day. And ended up having an emergency, last minute, urgent kind of appointment get thrown in so early. And I was like, by the time I get and start my day, I'm not going to have time. But I really wanted to reflect on my attitude and my behavior from yesterday. Because it's just not okay. In a nutshell, that's not okay, B. I know I'm human and I should have compassion for myself. But just the emotional energy it took for me to check myself wasn't exhausting in the moment, but in hindsight, that was really, I really could have used that energy for something else. So yeah, I'm hella petty. I'm grateful for this relief. I'm grateful to have been able to take care of it as soon as possible, the transition, so I can carry on with this business relationship without, dragging my feet or having a stifle, having to feel like I stifle transition for them or for me. And I'm kind of excited now because I was dreading thinking of the transition into the summer vacation for the kids because I really didn't know what to do. So, but I thank God for having my back and going before me and creating opportunities for me, even when with fear and with all that I'm lacking in my humanness, going before me and making it happen, setting that table for me so that I can now go forth. Now for me it's just practicing the new protocols. But I like being flexible more than I like being rigid. And so this is an opportunity for me to grow even more and to benefit from this new setup. So, your girl is petty. But I hope you have an amazing day. I know that you are loved, you are needed, you are essential, you matter. And that today is going to be an amazing day. I hope it blows your socks off in amazement. Have a good one.